Okay, let's talk about Microsoft, because they are making a bet that is so massive, it could literally change everything. Not just for them, but for the entire tech world for a generation to come. This isn't just about software anymore. We're talking about a strategy that weaves corporate power right into global politics. And to really get what's going on, you've got to look way, way beyond the numbers on a spreadsheet. So let's dive in.
Now, you might see a quote like this and think, yeah, okay, typical CEO talk. But this is different. Satya Nadella is basically saying this AI shift is as big a deal as when Microsoft was first founded. I mean, think about that. This isn't just some new version of Windows. In their minds, they're not just making products, they're making history.
All right, so to really unpack this whole thing, we've got to start with the official story. The one Microsoft wants everyone to hear. And honestly, it's a story of just mind-blowing success, and it's backed up by some absolutely staggering numbers.
Just look at this. This is the top-line number from their latest annual report. We're talking a record-breaking $281 billion in revenue. Now, that's not just a big number to brag about. It's the fuel. It's the financial engine that's powering this entire global strategy we're about to get into.
And where's a huge chunk of that money coming from? Right here. A 34% jump in growth for Azure, their cloud platform. You absolutely have to keep Azure in your mind as we go through this because it's not just a product. It is the literal bedrock of their entire AI empire.
See, it's one thing to build all this fancy infrastructure, right? But are people actually using it? Well, yeah. Their Copilot AI tools have blown past 100 million monthly active users already. So this isn't some build it and they will come dream. They're here. People are adopting this stuff on a massive, massive scale.
So that's the story they tell, right? It's a simple, really optimistic mission. Empower every person. But when you hear that simple mission and then you look at those colossal, world-changing numbers we just saw, you can't help but ask, okay, what is really going on behind the curtain to make all this happen?
And that really is the multi-trillion-dollar question, isn't it? How does a software company suddenly start building a global AI empire? Because this goes way beyond just writing good code. To get it, we have to pull back the layers and look at a much, much deeper playbook.
This right here, this is the key. It's a concept our source material calls alliance capitalism, and it's the central idea for this whole explainer. You have to understand this because it's a strategy that leaves traditional business in the dust and steps right into the world of global power politics.
So what does that actually mean? Well, here's the bottom line. Microsoft is using its cozy relationship with Western governments to create advantages that their competitors literally cannot compete with. It doesn't matter how good your AI model is. How do you compete with geopolitics? It's like they're turning international diplomacy into a fortress wall around their business.
Okay, and this strategy isn't just one thing. It's a stack of 6 layers, with each one built on top of the one before it. It all starts with geopolitical alignment. That opens the door for capital circulation. That money is then used to lock down energy and physical resources. That lets them build this massive fungible infrastructure, which then gives them priority access to semiconductors, and it all flows up into the final goal, application integration. It's like a pyramid. So let's break down how they're actually building this thing.
All right, so that's the playbook on paper. Now let's look at what this looks like in the real world. And I'm telling you, the sheer scale of what they're doing it's almost hard to wrap your head around.
Okay, for example, look at this. Their new data center, called Fairwater. It's designed to use 2 gigawatts of power. I mean, what does that even mean? Well, it's enough electricity to power a city of 1.5 million people. A whole city's worth of power, all just for AI. This shows you they get it. The real bottleneck for AI in the long run isn't just computer chips. It's raw physical energy.
Now let's talk about the money loop. This is just brilliant. Microsoft puts over $13 billion into OpenAI. But here's the kicker. OpenAI then turns around and commits to spending $250 billion with Microsoft on their Azure cloud. You see what's happening? It's not just a partnership. It's a closed loop, a financial flywheel where Microsoft's money comes right back to them, bigger than before, locking the two companies together.
And this is where the geopolitics part becomes a literal competitive weapon. So in 33 different countries, they're building what are called sovereign clouds. That just means they follow all the local picky data laws. And by doing that, they turn all that annoying government red tape from a headache into a giant wall. Because if you're a competitor and you can't jump through all those legal hoops, well, guess what? You're locked out of the entire country. Game over.
And at the end of the day, it all comes down to the chips, the actual silicon. Right now, the most powerful AI chips are incredibly hard to get. There just aren't enough to go around. So being first in line is everything. And because of their size and their tight relationship with NVIDIA, Microsoft gets to cut the line. They get the best new stuff first, which means they're deploying the future of AI while everyone else is basically stuck on a waiting list.
So, you have to admit, the strategy is brilliant. It's complex, it's ambitious, it's kind of breathtaking actually. But, and this is a huge but, when you make a bet this big, the risks are just as massive.
And let's be crystal clear here. For all of its genius, this whole thing is a gamble. It is a multi-trillion-dollar bet that the future is going to unfold in one very specific way. And if they're wrong, if that future doesn't happen, a failure on this scale, well, it would be absolutely catastrophic.
The analysis we're drawing from points to 5 critical vulnerabilities, 5 things that can make this whole thing fall apart. First, you got execution risk. Can they actually build all this stuff? Then, demand risk. Will people actually pay for it? There's the OpenAI relationship risk. That partnership is complicated. Then, you have regulatory risk. You know governments are watching. And finally, the big one, technology disruption risk. What if something totally new comes along? Seriously, any one of these could derail the whole train.
First up, just plain old execution. Their plan is to double the number of data centers they have worldwide in just 24 months. I mean, think about that. Nothing like this has ever been done before in the tech industry. A single delay getting a permit, a single construction problem, it could cause a domino effect that messes up the entire timeline.
Okay, then there's the demand risk. They're spending $140 billion a year on building all this stuff, but what happens if companies are just slower to buy in than they think? What if AI adoption doesn't happen overnight? They could be stuck with billions and billions of dollars of the most advanced infrastructure in the world just sitting there, a solution waiting for a problem to solve.
And you knew this was coming, regulation. In a way, their incredible success with OpenAI is also their biggest weakness. It puts a giant target on their back for regulators all over the world who are worried they're getting too powerful. All it would take is one court ruling, one new law that changes how they work with OpenAI, and that entire strategic fortress we talked about could start to crumble.
So, that leaves us with the big question at the end of it all. Is what we're watching one of the most brilliant business strategies in history, the creation of an AI empire that no one can touch? Or is it the most complex, most expensive house of cards ever built, where pulling out a single wrong card could bring the whole thing crashing down? Honestly, we don't know yet, but the next few years are definitely going to give us the answer.